It's the TurboVelo Tuesday Night Crit on July 30th, 2024. Here to tell you all about it. I'm starting off the back. A little bit late to get the computer started and the camera started and to get clipped in. So here I am on the back of the ride. You might notice that we're going the opposite direction. Yes, today is the second time that we've done the reverse direction on this course. Even if you've practiced on this course, you're not likely to have spent many laps going in the reverse direction because as a public road at a park, it is one way only, and the one way you're supposed to go is in the opposite direction. So it's a little bit unique to do this reverse course. For example, we're coming up to the chicane here, and we always do the chicane in the other direction. We go through the dip, and now we're going through the chicane in the other direction. Today is a windy day, so that plays a big role here in the race. The wind is coming from my left towards the right of the screen, in other words, from the south. And as we take a right turn up here, as we go around this loop here, we'll be getting a strong tailwind. So this wind will come into play a lot during this race, and I'll be talking about positioning and wind and energy conservation as we go. You can see I'm still in the back, and this is where we get the tailwind after we go through that dip. And guys are charging on the front, so as we go into this tailwind, you know, there's less effort that's required to go, which means that the people in the front have less of an aero advantage compared to the people that are drafting. So sometimes it can be good to attack when you're going downwind, especially when the group's together and you don't have a gap. Of course, going into a headwind, if you get a big gap, you know, you're doing, the person chasing that is going through that gap has a lot of work to do, but everyone that's on a wheels is spending a lot less energy. From my standpoint in this race, it's not terribly exciting. You know, as far as tactically, I was satisfied. I was fine with how I did in terms of my fitness and placement and things like that. But for me personally, tactically, if you looked out there on the left, there was one of our teammates, Bren, who missed the race, so a few minutes late. So we see an attack from the left side here, including my teammate. I'm on the team Cheney windows and door in the sort of blue, purplish, and yellow kit. So we have several members of our team here. In the green kits in front of me, that's Cadence, Skyline Cadence, and they're one of our rivals for this race. It's one of the teams with a lot of members. So here we're going into a headwind as we turn right. And I'm just, you know, sitting on wheels trying to conserve energy. As we go through each little turn, and also to see the wind direction, you can see the windsock that we just passed. It's really moving. The wind is really moving, maybe about 15 miles an hour, and it's a headwind right now. And as we turn right, the sheltered side is to the right, meaning that the people on the left are catching more wind. Here's my teammate Andy. Keep an eye on Andy. So we see some movement off the front here. Keep an eye on Andy. He's an expert in getting in breakaways. And this gentleman right in front of him, Tomer, has just been really killing it. Like, he's the most improved player, I think, in all of the crit series here this summer in 2024, and I'm talking at all levels, C, B, A, cats 5 through 1. He is the most improved guy. So we see my teammate Andy moving up here on the right side, sheltered, taking a look over his shoulder, and here I am on the right side as well, sheltered from the wind that's coming from the left. It's absolutely critical to conserve your energy. So we have one guy off the front here. And sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I can't remember who it was. I think it might be my teammate, actually. One of my teammates. Might be Mike. Him being off the front, I don't think the competitors are overly alarmed. And they're just watching and waiting. And they will start to, you know, it's up to these other teams to try to pull this back. And in fact, Cadence is now going to the front to pull this back. And you see my teammate Ryan with the Stars and Stripes banded jersey because he was a track national champion last summer in 2023. Going to nationals again this year. Good luck, Ryan, in becoming a two-time national champion, hopefully. And see, here's one thing about efficiency. So here's Eddie in front of me, a friend of mine on the Cadence team. Everyone's in this gutter on the left. The wind is coming from the right to the left, so there's actually no draft. I'm not getting any kind of draft right now, sitting behind Eddie as I'm a little bit chicken to be all the way on the left in the grass, and I'm giving a little bit of space, get a little bit of a reprieve from my teammate there, Jorge, as he's moving up to get in better position. And once again, here we go towards the headwind, now across headwind, and I'm in the draft again. So repeatedly going through that gutter is tough. That can be something that in a crit really strings things out and separates people if a gap opens. Yeah, there was me yelling. I thought that was Tomer at first, attacking because that's his MO. But actually it's his teammate Jose who's moving up on the left side. So, they're going to play the game of one attacks, then the other attacks, and so forth. Again, the further over I am to the right, the more energy I'll be conserving versus being over on the left. But sometimes, you want to have good position, or you didn't get to the right spot, or you were conserving on one side, but you didn't get over to the other side before, the different part of the course. The freedom of movement to be able to move and get around the pack because everyone's packed in on the right. There might be a lot of reasons that you're not in the draft, but overall it's best, if you can, to try to conserve energy if you don't have any particular thing that you are needing to do. I think one thing that I've been thinking about recently is arrow socks, and should I get arrow socks? How many people have arrow socks? I was talking with some of these cadence guys like Joel and Brent and others and Sam, and I think they all have arrow socks, so maybe I'm falling behind in the arms race with my mechanical 105 set up and no arrow socks. Not to mention other things like heavy wheels. Yeah, blaming the equipment, that's what you do. Just blame the equipment. So here we go. There's some movement on the front here as the chase is going on. And again, I didn't quite catch. Is that Jose still off the front, or is that a Tomer attack? Can't remember. But in terms of foreshadowing, Tomer does put in an attack and get into the breakaway here. So a breakaway is going to form. That might be Tomer attacking. I can't remember, or if it's his teammate. So that was my teammate on the right that had put in a solo attack earlier, and the field had kind of held the distance, and then brought him back. Here we see riders moving over to the right, so that means that they've slowed down, or at least someone who's pulling wants to give other people a draft. So a little gap opened up in front of me, but I just need to close it down. Again, you don't want to put in these extra efforts of closing down gaps if you don't have to. Best to be in the draft. All those guys that are in the back there, they're on the draft, like Joel right in front of me on cadence. RG, they had it much, they had a little bit easier. They're not having to close down a gap, so they played it a little better in terms of their positioning and where they ended up. So if there is a team no name on the front, which is the name of Tomer and Jose's team, it's going to be Tomer because I can see Jose just in front of me. Let me see if I can take a little bit closer look to see what's going on the front here. And one of the problems with GoPro and looking at your GoPro footage later is you can't really see things as well on the footage as you could in real life. And so, yeah, it's definitely a rider up there. Is that Tomer, though? I don't recall. So we'll just have to be in ignorance right now about who's the solo guy off the front, but it's certainly someone that is stimulating a reaction. That there's the need to bring this back, it's a threat, or otherwise to speed this up. So we see a rider going off the front here, and in fact I think I know what happened. I think there's more than one rider up there in the breakaway. Yeah, I think it's actually 3 riders, and the Pegasus rider, who's a very strong rider, especially in a sprint, he has tried to bridge this, and he's going across the gap, and it's hard to see in this action right here, but he doesn't quite make it, and he comes back to us. And if I'm not mistaken, this is where we couldn't see it on camera, maybe on Brent's video, and I'll try to link to Brent's video in my comments, in my description, that Sam on cadence got up to this breakaway, as well as my teammate Andy, and Sam got up to the break, and it's pretty funny. He throws up his arm like straight up, looking backwards, like sits straight up, throws his arm up in the air in a very kind of defiant, angry way. Not that defiant, not that angry, but if you know Sam as far as his non-biking persona, like, when you're just talking to him, this is about as angry as he could be, which was communication to his teammates like, hey, get up here right now. Where are you guys? I'm up here. You need to be up here. And they weren't up there. It was just him, and he was not thrilled about the situation. So we see a gap here. And this is not the breakaway that we see just in front of us. So this is a group that's gone off the front as they are chasing the breakaway that's already made the turn to the right into the crosswind. So I'm on Jose's wheel here. He's got his buddy up the road, Tomer. And Tomer might be the premier sort of TT breakaway guy in this field on this particular night, and one of the best actually, you know, in the entire race altogether. He was in the winning breakaway in the A race just a little bit after this amongst the fastest riders, and it was really impressive that he was in that breakaway. So here we are, kind of Grupo Compacto, as there is a breakaway up the road. It's not all that far up the road. And again, it's kind of hard to see them because there are little dots on the screen. But one thing I observed while I was during the race was these guys were not working together in the breakaway. And this was weird to me because this would be kind of like the breakaway I would anticipate. So let's see, there are 5 guys up there. And maybe they're working together now. Or actually, yeah, so I think this is where Joel is on cadence, is trying to bridge up to these guys, and a guy chases, and then yeah, so I believe that's right. And there was some, you know, sort of not great team tactics here. Again, not to call anyone out, but here Brent is calling out his teammate to say, hey, stop chasing. We like the makeup of that group up there. Don't bring this back. We have, you know, the numbers, but in the heat of the moment, it's hard to know what to do, and you're like, oh, I could get up there, and actually, so Cadence, the team sort of nullifies the breakaway, which was arguably advantageous to them because Joel's a really good sprinter. So if Joel's in the breakaway, that's a disadvantage to other teams, arguably, because he could theoretically, you know, perhaps win in a sprint. Of course, he might be attacked by other people if that were the case. So here we see the gap opening up again. And again, I don't exactly remember. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 or so in the breakaway here. And you know, they're just up the road. They're not far at all. I'm not motivated to want to bring this back, but you can see that they just sit up here. Like they're like, this is an unwieldy breakaway. Brent is going to try to counterattack through the right, if I remember if this was the spot. Yeah, and we almost all crashed there. It's not many times that you have to slam on the brakes in a crit where there isn't a crash, but just because everyone's fanned out across the road and there's no place to go. But that was one of the few moments I think you'll see that, at least amongst people that aren't Cat 4s or Cat 5s. So everything's back together, and we need a reshuffle, a reset. So this would be an opportunity for guys that have conserved their energy to make another attempt. And we see an immediate attack, an immediate breakaway starting. And will it be the guys that we think are most likely to be in the breakaway? So definitely guys that are most likely to be in the breakaway are Tomer, because he's really good at breakaways and very strong, and my teammate Andy, who's riding in great form. He just came back from Nationals, Masters, time trial, and road race, and did a great job there. So we figure he's going to be in the breakaway, and we figure for a breakaway probably to be successful, there's probably going to need to be a Cadence rider in the breakaway. Otherwise, the Cadence team would be very motivated to bring back that break. We see one group far ahead chasing, and then another group, guys strung out a little bit, trying to catch on. Again, my motivation here, I like Andy being in the breakaway. That's kind of what we want. Andy's like second place in the overall series standings, and this is the 4th race in the series, meaning the last race in the series. So if Andy clears Tomer by 5 points, with a maximum of 10 points on the offer for first place, if he clears Tomer by 5 points, he wins the series. So The most advantageous situation for us would be for Andy to get first and Tomer to get like fourth or worse. I think that would make Andy the winner if that was the scenario. As I was thinking about this, it occurred to me that Tomer being in the breakaway is a very likely outcome, but not having a breakaway might be to our advantage if we could set up Andy in a sprint and somehow Tomer gets like sixth in the sprint, but Andy gets first. That might be easier than getting in a small breakaway and Andy getting first and Tomer getting, last in the breakaway. So we didn't really discuss any strategy like that, at least not with me before the race. But it could have been a scenario that would be a better strategy. However, with the wind being so strong, the chances of there not being a breakaway were extremely small. The way this particular course plays out, because it's so open and the wind is so able to come through from both the north and the south, that when it's very windy, it's much more likely that there'll be a breakaway, and when it's not windy, it's really hard for the breakaway to get away. So very low wind days usually more likely to be a sprint finish, and on very windy days much more likely to be a breakaway, because guys on the front can gutter and there's less shelter, and it's harder for people to conserve energy, so it tends to break things up. So we got a breakaway up ahead. I think it's 4 guys right now, and it's Tomer, my teammate Andy, Sam on cadence, and one other rider. I can't remember exactly who the rider is. It might be the reunion rider. Anyway, so there's it's the responsibility of people that don't like the makeup of the breakaway to chase it back, and they're really not that far up ahead. I guess you could do the math and count the seconds, but it's definitely less than 10 seconds, maybe a lot less than 10 seconds up the road here. See, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6. So about maybe 8, 9 seconds they're up ahead. And Sean, he's not on a team, and so he doesn't want to let the race just go away. He's going to put in an effort. If he wants to chase this back, I would argue he shouldn't ride in the gutter. He should ride over to the right side to allow people to rest. But as it is, who's going to contribute to the chase if everyone who wants to chase is guttered and tired? So that comes to a strategic decision on how to chase. If he's going to try to get over and cross himself, and he's not concerned about the fitness or strength of the people who might contribute and help him in the chase, then sure, gutter and ride on the left. But as it is, me and the cadence rider right in front, we're going to sit on and not contribute to the chase. If he'd been riding to the right, we still wouldn't be contributing to the chase, but it would give the opportunity for other people to rest in that section and be fresher to come over and help in the chase. So, here I am, barely riding 200 watts until I decide to get back on his wheel, and he gets some watts going here as he turns into the crosswind. And I'm just going to mark him here. So I'm riding to the left, which means he's sheltered, and I'm in the wind, but I'm not even hardly riding here. So every moment with me on the front is a moment that the breakaway is getting more distance, because I'm not pulling, I'm going slow. And so we're back to Pegasus pulling on the front, because I don't think they're represented in the breakaway. Their rider just missed the earlier bridging attempt I think I talked about. Again, I might be a little bit wrong about the timing of these things, because it's hard for me to see the riders on the video. Maybe I should get 4K and a better monitor or something, but YouTube just doesn't pay out like it used to. I mean, it used to pay me nothing, and now it still pays me nothing. So taking up a lot of space on my hard drive and stuff, that's the main reason I'm not recording in 4K. I guess 2 reasons. One is the amount of space it takes up on the drives. I guess I could just delete everything afterwards, but the other thing is my battery will go faster, so if I want to record 2 different rides, it's much better to record in 1080p. I'll have enough battery to record more than one race. Anyway, so this might be getting to what I might call the boring part of the ride, but I should discuss a little bit about what happened in the breakaway that's up ahead. So one observation I had was, oh yeah, this is the makeup we want for a breakaway, in the sense that our teammates up in the break, the one that's most likely to get in the break and probably the one that's best suited to do well in the break is in the break, so that's good. We're not going to want to chase our teammate down and bring that break back. But the thing that was a little bit curious was, even though this seemed like the perfect makeup for a break, they were not being efficient. They were not getting a lot of gap, even though there wasn't really a momentous chase. I would say, however, that the chase was a lot better than expected, meaning that the guys not represented, like Sean, RG up there, and others, were actually putting in work. A lot of times when this happens, Pegasus Rider, a lot of times when this happens, that people don't chase and it's just over. Like, those guys don't chase, they don't work. And I'm not talking about those individuals, but I'm just talking about guys that are represented. They're the only one on the team, like, one person on the team, or they're not on the team. Those guys usually don't, it's hard for them to work together, right? Because they're not on the same team. They don't necessarily know each other or have a strategy, and the motivations may be different, the fitness may be different. It's always, more effective or easier to coordinate if a particular team is working together to chase, and there are particular teams that are motivated to bring a break back. So in that sense, it was actually pretty cool how the tactics worked out in terms of people doing what they're supposed to do. Like, this is the right move. You play chess, like, this is the particular move. People were making the right chess moves in this particular race, except what I wanted to talk about before I got on this tangent, which is that the breakaway ahead was not getting away to the extent that I thought they should have, or should be, based on their fitness level and the fact that most of the two biggest teams are not motivated to chase it back. I was curious. It was curious to me, and I was wondering why. And I could see them, looking at each other, not in a line, not rotating. I asked my teammate what happened. Actually, I asked Sam what happened. I said, "You didn't look like you guys were really working together. What was going on?" And he said that so in the breakaway, they were not working together, and it was because Tomer was riding in the gutter when he was on the front and going quite hard. So by that, it means that he's not riding in a way to create an echelon that gives the other people in the breakaway rest as they're going through the crosswind. And so they're going to be hugging, the side of the course, and instead of working together and pulling through, they're going to just sit on his wheel and say, hey, that's not how you organize a breakaway. You don't organize a breakaway by trying to drop the other guys in the breakaway. They don't want to cooperate. You're not working with them. So if you're motivated to have guys in a breakaway help and stay together, then of course you wouldn't gutter them. Which is not to say that Tomer was doing something dumb. It may have been his strategy to ride hard and to soften this up and maybe do an early attack and ride away solo. But regardless of what he was doing or why he was doing it, it was demotivating the breakaway, the other guys in the breakaway, and they were not working together. So our chasing group was relatively close to the breakaway for a very long time, which was surprising to me. So I don't even know where the breakaway is now. I can't see him on the screen. And I don't know if at this point they've gotten kind of far. And now, Brent, this is, if you could hear in the background, Brent was asking me, I didn't know this till later because I couldn't understand him while we were talking, which was how many guys were in the breakaway, and I wasn't sure. Well, I did know. I probably did know. I think 3 or 4. I think in my mind it was 3 or 4. I know it was 4 now, as I'm narrating this. Sorry about the background noise. I'm in a communal space in the home, not in a study or private place, so there may be a little background noise. But anyway, he was asking me how many guys were in the break, and I didn't hear him, so I didn't give him an answer. I would have been fine giving him an answer, but that motivates him to think about, well, what are we actually racing for? Because at this point, it looks like we're not racing for the podium with 3 or 4 guys up the road, actually 4. Still, with 4 guys up the road, there is a 5th place on the line. which is not nothing. It's close to nothing, but it's not nothing. We're not out here to, I'm just kind of joking about being close to nothing. We're not out here to, get some glory beyond what we're doing. We're doing it to have fun, stay safe, and compete with each other and use our brains, use our bodies. The beautiful thing about cycling and bike racing is that it's very intellectual as well as very physical and taxing. So it's kind of like you gotta be able to use your brain in smart ways while your body is at the very limit, which is not easy. So here's my teammate Jorge, who is a former Puerto Rico national champion. Are they a state champion? I don't know exactly how you would say it. Let's call it a national champion. So very experienced masters rider, and he puts in this attack. And so this attack is for 5th place. And how many laps do we have left? We have a lap counter here that I can actually see. 2 to go, 2 laps to go. So each lap is 1 mile. And the question is, can he ride away from this group over 2 miles? And who will chase him down? And who's motivated to use energy to chase him down? Again, I don't think the group is like super motivated about 5th place necessarily. Jorge, I think, was a little bored and thought he'd put in the effort. It's like, it's not because he's desperately dreaming to be in 5th place, although he is competing and going hard and trying to get that 5th place if the tactics work out. In other words, do something for fun, try something hard, see what people do. Don't just do the same thing every time. Do something different. You don't have these super high stakes where you have to play the absolute best move that's the best for your ability. Do what you want. See what happens. And so we see Jose here chasing after Jorge. Well, does that make Jose less likely to be okay, later on to have a higher finish? Arguably yes, because he's having to put in energy to chase my teammate. So that's, taking like a card off the table. You can see that there's a gap up ahead, but I'm going to hang out with Brent, and Brent pulls off. I actually thought about pulling off too and getting behind Brent and playing chicken with him about, you really want to let this all go and just give up here, make him chase, but I didn't have to chase. So the smarter move is to get on the wheel here and let him do all the work here to get up here if he is going to get up here. And so they're chasing down my teammate. But, again, he's having to put in a lot of energy that I'm not having to put in. Does this take him out of the cards for the end of the race? Is he now a bit exhausted from the effort that he has to put in as we go into this crosswind, wind coming from the right to the left? Are we going to go back to Grupo Compacto for the field? Let's see. So there goes RG, Sean. Brent's back on, or never was not off. He was probably just right behind me. Me getting into the draft and doing a little effort here. So having to do an effort in the crosswinds, no fun. Hate the crosswinds, hate being in the gutter. So I think at this point Jorge is caught. Yes, I think it's him on the right there. So 1 lap to go. And this will be interesting to talk about. Again, we're not like, riding for 1st place, but we're riding for the best of the rest. And we did not play this right, so I can talk a little bit about how we did not play it right. So here's me yelling out. I think that, Brent is attacking, going up the left. They're on cadence in the green. So this is a, kind of like a 1 lap attack, a little bit less than a 1 lap attack. There isn't a reaction from the field. They're tired, I guess, from Jorge, chasing Jorge, and we see Jose on the front. He's already been, someone that's put in a lot of chase for the previous attack by Jorge. Maybe he, doesn't have as much energy to chase back Brent. And, the chase is like just fast enough that you think it might be successful. But we can see, it's not all out. It's not all out. And Jose's here on the left, so he's not guttering the group. This would allow the group to move over. And I see that we have 3 riders lined up. Jorge's already put in an attack, so he must be fatigued somewhat. He's back in the group. He's recovered a little bit. Ryan's right there, my teammate. in front of him, and really we should have gone before now. We should have gone. We're losing time. We should have gone like 10 seconds before this, if not earlier. But we're lining up what I think could be a pretty decent train if we get all three of us together. Jorge on the front, me second, Ryan third. And my goal here is to just be on Jorge's wheel, let him go, use up all his energy that he can, and then release my energy to help Ryan. Ryan stays on my wheel, and then he comes past me. That's the plan. So I'm thinking at this point, I'm going to maybe wait until we get to this turn, and then I'm going to pull into the crosswind. So moving over a little bit to the left, a little bit, like there's a tailwind there, a little cross tail, and now crosswind, and I'm trying to be over to the left, but giving just enough space for Ryan to be on my wheel. You can see that's Brent up there who put in the early attack, and he's quite a bit of ways up there. This is a very long sprint for like a sprint finish compared to the other orientation of the course, but Brent's just too far ahead, and it turns out the riders behind me just sat up and I guess were demotivated. So I saw RG starting to come up on my right, so I kind of put in like this little second acceleration just to make sure he didn't pass me. But Brent got us with that crafty little attack on the last lap and got 5th place, and I ended up getting 6th place. So from the perspective of my fitness, it's good that I got dropped. And it was a fun race, although I didn't really do anything, so it was kind of boring in that way. But I got some, a little bit of exercise in, and our team ended up getting 2nd. Tomer got 1st in the sprint finish of the breakaway, and Andy got 3rd. Andy got 2nd, and Sam got 3rd from Caden. So it's a good result for our team, 2nd and 6th, and other places down the line. But the 2nd is the one that matters, right, the podium. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you maybe later. Bye.